Hi, I'm Kim.
I'm Brad.
We're 6260 Ohana, California, and today we're going to talk about Space 220. And we're going to give a slight review because the menus changed since we ate there like a week later.
So we're going to get into some things that we've learned, how to get in, and we'll be doing a full review later when we go back to Disney World here kind of soon.
Okay, so one of the things, Space 220 is one of the hardest reservations at Walt Disney World you can get as of time of filming.
Yeah.
So we have learned a few tricks to help you get in even when there's not reservations available.
So as an example, say you're up, you slept in or just kind of missed that booking date time.
Or maybe this is a last minute trip for you like it was for us.
Yeah, and we kept checking back.
No.
Never happened.
So we were staying at the boardwalk in the outer building garden rooms, and that's supposed to be concierge. So we even tried to go up to the concierge service that we had, and they weren't able to get it for us. I figured that was going to be like our last resort. But however, they gave us some tips, and we found out a few of our own.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and get into those tips, how you can get in. Well, one, show up fairly early, right before they open.
Okay, so if you go up to Space 220, there's kind of a line where the person checks you in or sees if there's reservations outside. So in this case, we went there first, and there was two lines. There's kind of like a line for the lounge, because you can either get reservations online for the lounge or restaurants if they're available. Or when you walk up, you could ask for reservations at the lounge. And sometimes that's we've heard that's kind of easier.
Yeah, sometimes you can get in a lot easier. They'll have openings. But there's a little bit of a trick that we've learned to this, and it was kind of weird.
So we went up there, there was already 3 or 4 people in that line, and they'd asked for a lounge reservation. So we went up and said, is there any way we could get in for lunch? We have a flight at this time, can we get in? All this stuff, we talked to them. And thankfully, the cast member found an opening like an hour and a half later. It was like, yeah, I could get you a table here. Now, we also realized the line ahead of us for the lounge seats were mad, but they had not asked for dining tables. So there is this distinction when you go to that check-in outside.
So tip number 1, when you're asking if there's a standby line, they're going to take it as you're asking for the lounge area. They're not taking it as for a reservation. What we did actually ask is, do you have any table reservations available right now? And that's how we ended up getting our table. And unfortunately, people were, like Kip said, were waiting for the lounge. They didn't ask the question that way, and they were unable. And I think one of them did get a reservation because they had a couple available.
So when they did that, I think the first person in line was like, wait a minute, what do you mean? And the cast member's like, you asked for the lounge, you didn't ask about dining tables. So you do have to specify.
Yeah.
Or you could say either or.
And this is one of the things that the concierge did tell us, is to keep checking back. Check the day of your going, if you couldn't get a reservation, and see if they have any openings, because they've been hearing about openings. And the reason for this is,
so when you do your advanced ADRs, unfortunately, somehow there's been some kind of loophole with Space 220 where they're not charging that $10 fee if you don't show up. So what we are finding out was pretty common is that, and this was from cast members inside, that people would book multiple tables at multiple times. So people would book a 11 o'clock, a 1 o'clock, and a 3 o'clock and said, we'll see which one we want to show up for. Well, in the meantime, that left tables that nobody's sitting at. And so you had a better chance at walk up, but this is really frustrating for everyone else. This is something that cast members said they're kind of hoping they're going to crack down on, because at times they weren't having people sit at the tables. That's lost tips.
yeah, really, when we walked in there, we probably saw, I would say at least 3 tables that were not sat at all, that they were holding the reservation for before they finally got people in. And this has been kind of an issue for them. Hopefully that they're going to work this out, and she did say that they're trying to work it out.
Hopefully bringing awareness to the issue will kind of help out too. So that was just kind of something that we found out.
Another tip is, this is not a Disney restaurant. This is not owned by Disney. This is owned by a company that also runs the 2 restaurants in the Italy pavilion.
So the Tutto Italia via Napoli.
So their reservation system doesn't quite update the same as it does online for the Disney reservation.
Well, no. Okay, so they said specifically to Space 220 that sometimes when people cancel, they don't release those reservations back out. So they said try calling the actual restaurant line, leaving a message, and trying to get through that way, because sometimes you'll be able to snag one of those reservations when someone cancels that wouldn't have shown up on the My Disney Experience app.
Yeah, so this is the second tip from us from the concierge, to call the restaurant and see if they had any cancellations or they had an opening, just show up because somebody couldn't make it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny thing because when we were figuring out with concierges that they were even saying, our systems don't always correlate right.
Yeah. So it was kind of funny. We came up and we were having trouble getting any kind of dining. And we're like, we want to see if we can get in. And they're like, this is the hardest ADR for us to get. Yeah. And I was like, they could even get us Topolino's Terrace, which we didn't have time in our schedule to do. But they were able to do that.
Yeah. And obviously with the crowds where they are right now, any dining is difficult if you go in the last 2 weeks. And really the funny part about this whole situation with us is that we kept asking. They're like, oh no, it's impossible. Kim kept checking the app. Nah, it's not happening. And so we didn't check every time we went to Epcot. We didn't check. We're like, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And we figured out on the last day, we'll go check and see what happens.
Right. What's the worst they're going to say? No, we'll try our next trip. It would have been sad. I would have been a little disappointed, but...
And bingo, we got in.
Okay, so one of the first things we're going to talk about, because it's a little bit different for Space 220, is they have a lounge menu. So if you're in the lounge, you cannot order from the main dining room. They have a separate menu.
Yeah.
But if you're in the main dining hall area, it's a prefix menu for lunch, which only includes a appetizer and an entree. Dinner is more expensive, and it includes an entree, appetizer, dessert. But if you're at lunch, they'll also let you add on the price of the dessert so you could try. And
also, if you want to try a different appetizer on top of it,
which we did.
Yep, you can order from the lounge menu and get that, which we had. I mean, this is the thing that we're going to tell everybody to try. It don't matter, which was
the short rib sliders. They were phenomenal. They were so good. I was kind of sad that I got my other appetizer and I just didn't have that because it was so good.
So, the reason we're not doing a full review on this is the menu changed. Literally, probably about a week afterwards, they added more to the lounge menu, which we were told that they were going to do, so people had more options for lunch. But they changed almost everything off of the main dinner and lunch menu.
Yes. So anyways, I will tell you, I ended up getting the lemon mousse dessert, which was really good, but it had a strong, what I like to call pucker power. It was really zesty and sour. So maybe that wasn't something that a lot of people enjoyed. I don't know. I thought it was good. So I'm kind of sad to see that off the menu.
And I got the sticky toffee pudding, which was really good. I believe you had a bite of it.
I did. I still preferred my lemon mousse.
Yeah. And so basically that's what's still available on the menu. That's why when we're going back, we want to do a full review and let you know everything. But if you get a chance to do the restaurant overall, the ambiance and just the experience of it is awesome.
The atmosphere is so cool, and just going up and back down in the elevator I was blown away.
Yeah, and then kind of the weird thing is those scenes, if you can get closest to the center windows, is better, because you can't get on the edges, you don't get really a whole lot of what you can see. Obviously, this is kind of just a mini view of what you're going to see, other than our full view, but we wanted to make sure we get something out and let you guys know how we got in and what we thought about everything else.
So that when you plan this summer, when it's busy and crowded and it's maybe not an option for you, you can try some of these tips too.
Yeah. So basically, try to get towards the center of the best, because you get all these floating things going by and all of this color stuff. You'll get a weird sensation because you're actually supposed to be tethered to Earth, but it almost feels like you're kind of moving a little bit because of the way the 3D works. But
it doesn't make you sick or anything like that. It's not like a motion sickness. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, just for the experience of the ambiance, it's definitely a must do. So with that,
please like,
subscribe,
and follow along with our Ohana.
And I think it's time for us to go ahead and say goodbye and
find your magic. Bye, everyone.